Today, we're diving deep into one of the most epic stories you'll ever hear. It's a saga about gods losing everything, about bitter enemies being forced to work together, and a truly desperate plan to churn the entire cosmic ocean just to save reality itself. I mean, really think about that for a second. What do you do when your strength, your security, your entire future is just ripped away from you? It's a terrifying thought, right? A true existential crisis. You know, we have this idea of gods being all-powerful, totally infallible. But this story, it completely shatters that whole misconception. It all kicks off with these divine beings, the Devas, facing a very, very human kind of terror. So thanks to a really powerful curse, the gods lost it all. I mean, everything. Their divine power just vanished. Their immortality started to fade, and all their wealth, which was literally embodied by the goddess Lakshmi, just up and left them. For the very first time, they were staring down the barrel of old age and death. They were weak, they were vulnerable, and they were honestly on the verge of being completely wiped out. So, in total desperation, they turned to Lord Vishnu, and he proposes a solution that is so radical it sounds completely insane. He says the only way to get their power back is to churn the entire cosmic ocean to create Amrita, the divine nectar of immortality. And here's the catch. To pull it off, they would have to team up with their absolute worst enemies. Okay, so let's really break this down. On one side, you've got the Devas, the gods, who are now basically mortal and just fighting to survive. And on the other side, the super powerful and ambitious Asuras, who are just hungry for even more power. They had one single shared goal: immortality. And that one thing forced these eternal enemies into probably the most fragile, high-stakes partnership the universe had ever seen. The scale of this plan is just mind-blowing. I mean, think about it. They needed to use an entire mountain as a churning stick and the king of serpents as the rope. Every single step of this plan was a colossal task that just seemed to defy all logic. Now, listen up, because this is probably the most important part of the whole setup. The real first step wasn't lifting a mountain, it was mental. The gods didn't get stuck asking, how are we supposed to do that? Nope, they just placed their absolute trust, their Vishwasam, in the divine plan. That unconditional faith, that was the real engine that got this whole cosmic mission started. And so, the great churn began. You've got gods on one side, demons on the other, pulling on this massive serpent, spinning a whole mountain with just unbelievable force. All of creation is watching, holding its breath, just waiting for some amazing divine treasure to pop up. So after all that effort, right, after this impossible alliance and that incredible leap of faith, what was the reward going to be? It had to be the nectar of immortality. That's what this was all about. That's got to be the first thing that comes up. Nope, not even close. In this just shocking twist, all of their righteous effort produced the exact opposite of what they wanted. And this shows us a really tough truth. Sometimes the first result of a huge struggle isn't a reward, it's a crisis. And listen, this wasn't just any poison. The hala hala was this terrifying, all-consuming venom that just rose up from the ocean like a black fire. It was so horrific that both the gods and the demons dropped the rope and just fled in pure terror. The entire project, and really the whole universe, was seconds away from being completely destroyed. As this poison spreads, burning through all the realms, everyone, gods, demons, sages, they all run to the one being who could possibly face this kind of cosmic catastrophe, Lord Shiva. And when they got to him, Shiva didn't see this as some big interruption. He saw it as his fundamental duty. See, as the father of the universe, his whole purpose wasn't to rule over everyone, but to protect them. And in this case, protection meant absorbing the very poison that was destroying his creation. And here is a detail that is so crucial but often gets overlooked. Shiva didn't do this alone. In a really powerful moment of partnership, he turned to his wife, Parvati, and she gave her consent, not out of fear, but out of this absolute faith in the power of their divine union. It was her faith that acted as a shield, that gave him the power to do the impossible. So Shiva took the hala hala, but instead of swallowing it, which would have destroyed all the countless worlds living inside his stomach, he held that poison in his throat. The venom was so incredibly potent that it stained his throat a permanent, brilliant blue. He became Nilakantha,
the one with the blue throat, forever marked by the sacrifice he made to save absolutely everyone.
So, with the poison neutralized, you'd think things would go smoothly. The gods and demons get back to work, but their relief quickly turns into arrogance, and their chaotic, ego-driven churning creates a whole new disaster. Without any kind of stable base, the massive mountain, the one tool they absolutely needed to succeed, just starts sinking into the murky depths of the cosmic ocean. Once again, the whole operation was about to completely fail. But just when all hope seemed lost, Vishnu descended again. This time, he took the form of a colossal tortoise, Kurma. He dove deep, deep under the sinking mountain and offered his immense shell as a totally unshakable foundation. This was the physical form of Vishwasam, that divine support that shows up right when all your other foundations start to crumble. All right, so now, with a stable foundation under them and a renewed sense of purpose, the churning continued. And this time, the ocean finally began to give up its true treasures, one after another, rewarding their incredible perseverance. First came Kamadhenu, the cow of plenty. Then came Airavata, the incredible white elephant. And then, and this is so important, the goddess Lakshmi herself emerged, bringing wealth and fortune back to the cosmos. You see the order here? Stability and prosperity had to be restored first. Only then did the final prize come out, the pot of Amrita, the nectar of immortality. So yeah, the nectar restored the gods' immortality, sure, but the story makes it really clear that the physical reward, that was secondary. The true treasures were the deep, profound lessons that were forged in the fire of this cosmic crisis. I mean, this story leaves us with such profound wisdom. It teaches us that to achieve great things, sometimes you have to work with your rivals. That real leadership is defined by the burdens you're willing to carry for others. It reminds us that a disastrous first result, like that poison, is often just a stepping stone, not the end of the road. And maybe most importantly, that every great thing we do is built on an unseen foundation of faith. So as we wrap this up, the story leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. In our own struggles, our own personal churnings, what's the poison, that initial hardship that we have to face and get through? And what is that unshakable faith, that Vishwasam, that's going to be our foundation when everything else feels like it's sinking?